Hello, everybody. I'm back with another look at one of the past games that Chris Roberts worked on. This particular one is called Freelancer, and it came out just about 10 years ago. It was a follow on game to Starlancer, which had a lot of promise when it came out and didn't develop into that great franchise that Wing Commander was. I don't know the reason behind it. Maybe it was that Digital Anvil was partnered with Microsoft. Maybe it wasn't. There's only one person that can tell us, and I guess that's Chris Roberts. Maybe I'll ask him should he ever give me the opportunity to interview him. Now, Starlancer was a very, very dark game. When I mean dark, I mean in the essence of something like Battlestar Galactica. There was no hope. It was loss after loss, and even in the end, where there was victory, we find out as this game opens that everything was lost. Another race came and obliterated the sun and everything in our solar system. Freelancer happens about 900 years later, I believe, and it's in a whole other part of the galaxy. It's where man ran off to. And now there are multiple colonies spread out across this sector of the galaxy, and spaceflight is common, and you'll find lots of different places to visit. Now, why am I showing this? It's because I think that Chris Roberts actually has a lot more in these games, puts a lot more in these games than the game itself. There's a whole story to it also. And one of the things that I see here right now is a story that captivated me. It made me play every mission, even though at times the actual gameplay could get repetitive, shooting the same type of ship over and over and over again. But what I found was that I wound up loving this game. There's so much to do in it. There are private servers that are still running to this day, and that's something that we're going to see in Star Citizen. People's ability, or people will be allowed to set up their own servers with their own persistent universes on it. So where are we at right now? We're at the very beginning of this strange storyline that's going on. These people that Trent, the freelancer, gets to interact with. And right now what we're finding is that there's kind of something behind the scenes. It's not everything that you see right there in front of you. So here's one of the first items that comes up that shows us how to navigate around the world while you're on the planet side or station side. And we're going to go through this and stare at this for a few minutes. I have these issues that happen every now and then. So what I think is the amazing part about this game is that even when I log into it 10 years later, on a newer computer that set me on a quest to have it run full screen instead of this tiny little screen in the center. And then I had to fix the camera angles and the HUD. And after hacking everything back together again and starting to play it, I wound up deep into the storyline and said, you know what? I need to back up. And this is something that I'll probably want to chronicle for the people that follow me on Star Citizens at, well, Addicts Anonymous. Almost said Admirals Club. So this is the very beginning of the game. Trent walks into the bar. It's not a joke. And Trent's going to walk around. He's going to go up to the bartender, and the bartender's going to know him. Watch.
All we have is Liberty Ale, friend.
So we start to see that there's something going on behind him. What is that? What's going on? Who is that gorgeous polygon figure?
She's LSF. All business.
Now this gentleman over here
That is. On the other hand,
gives him a little bit of advice on who to talk
the
to.
only thing I'm looking for right now is this drink.
All right, we'll go back on to task. So one of the things that I think we're not going to see in Star Citizen is this type of engaging storyline. I think this is going to be what's in the actual Squadron 42.
Pretty bad out there.
Now this game, you could follow the storyline, or you can divert from it
Friend.
and take up the life of a privateer, a pirate,
Every day a man
a
has the chance to
freelancer kind of mercenary bounty hunter, or of course just do your best to get through the storyline. I think the first time I played this game through, that's essentially what I did. I burnt through the storyline and got to the end of it, and then kind of petered out a little bit and didn't play it for a while. A couple years later, I went back and started playing it again and said, oh, I did the storyline, let me just run missions. And I ran mission after mission after mission, and of course, I didn't get any interaction with things, but what happened was, it was kind of more like an RPG at that point, where the missions were the quests, and the actual levels were, making enough money to get something like a bigger ship, better equipment, more missiles, until the point where I had a fleet of ships. I forget what server I was playing on at that point. I was playing on a server, so it had to be more than a year later. So Trent's talking to Judy. I think that's her name. We'll just call her Judy. And he's finding out what she needs him to do. She's essentially in dire need of some help. They need to lock down this sector against, I guess, pirates or some kind of rogues that are out there. So she offers him a job, and that job is going to be to protect a convoy. So what comes up next is that Trent's going to have to get out of here. So as you see, this is one of the things that was not as fluid as what Star Citizen is going to be. You don't get to walk around the universe. You pretty much click on things and just appear in there. This was a typical adventure game from probably the late 80s to the mid to late 90s. So he goes up to this guy over here because I made an accidental, I went to the wrong place. I went to the commodities trader, but I'm just showing you that this is a place where you can buy and sell goods, and that's part of the game itself. Alright, so we're going to go to the equipment manager now. And this guy is going to pretty much do nothing because we're going to meet Judy here. Judy. I forget her name. It's probably none of those. And we're looking at this, well, I'd love to say beautiful ship. Back then it kind of was. Kind of Boba Fettish, isn't it? Well, I shouldn't say it that way. It looks kind of like Boba Fett's ship. Not in shape, but in where the actual engines and stuff are. This is pretty much the ship that she gives you at the very beginning of the game. It's got pretty much what equates to pea shooters for weapons. And, well, a hull that you can pretty much throw a rock through, or a pebble. But thankfully the first few missions were fighting people of equal ships as us. This is how you get to save your status and how you get in and out of the game. It tells you that. The F1 key is very important. When I first came back into it after not playing forever, I didn't read that, and I was like, how do you end this game? I was hitting escape and tab and control E and everything I could. And finally, I figured it out. I should have just read these things. So, in space starts with an in-game cinematic. As we see today in Star Citizen, Chris Roberts loves doing these in-game cinematics, in-game engine. And I gotta be honest, I love them a lot more than live actors. Just keeps things more in tune with where you are. So this Agent King person is going to be leading us on this mission, only right away, doesn't know me, puts me in control, kinda sorta. This is a German ship, and it's the beginning of what actually is going wrong with this whole part of the sector. So these ships come out of nowhere, and you're stuck pretty much right in the furball. In other words, you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. And believe it or not, these were state-of-the-art. Now when I look at something as simple as an Aurora and I look at this, I go, oh my god, how far have we come in such a short time? And here we go. And now it's time to start flying. And this is where another piece is going to differ. This game had to be made for the masses. It had to be made so it could sell lots and lots of copies, and so it could appeal to as many people as it could. Because Digital Anvil was partnered with Microsoft, I bet. Now there's a lot of speculation in that statement. This is not the type of combat that we're going to be getting from Star Citizen at all. I think Star Citizen's combat is going to be more in line with a flight sim like, well, I started playing IL-2, which is another 10-year-old game. And, oh, can't get anything there. And it's got a much more realistic flight model. There's no inertia in this flight model whatsoever. But you can see there is the beginnings of a pretty decent weapons damage model here. As you shoot at the ship, you take down its shields, and then you start to see little bits and pieces of the actual ship falling off. Right there it told me about tractor beams. In the early going, you're fighting a lot of light ships, so the only thing you're going to be getting out of, well, the only thing you're going to be getting out of tractoring in is going to be pretty much some light metals and water and, you know, not a whole lot of things that you could sell, but you'll get a lot of those nanobots and repair bots to replenish shields and your hull as you start taking damage. The first few missions here, you really do have a lot of easy targets. You know, F2, if you look at the top of the screen, turns on your warp or autopilot, and your system will, your starfighter will speed up really fast as your thruster starts to glow, and you'll move a lot faster towards the destination point. For destinations that are much further away, it uses a gate system, which is kind of like a newer game that's out now called X Rebirth, where you have that whole highway system that's built into these gates. So we jump into this gate, and it's essentially going to take us to the next part of the mission. In this next part of the mission, what we're going to find is we are going to meet the people that we have to escort.
Activation sequence completed. Lane jump
so we're moving through here, and I guess this is like a wormhole. Though the graphics could have been better for this, it's pretty decent, but evidently you can be pulled out of this wormhole, and you'll see that in this next part of the mission. So these are freighters or transports. They're going to be somewhat larger than we are, not much, probably the size of a small ship. Not as big as an oil freighter. So we have to hit that F4 button, I think it is. Or is it F5? I forget. And now we're in position, just hovering above it, and we're pretty much locked in flight with this ship. And we're going to go towards the gate, and we're going to go towards planet Pittsburgh. At Pittsburgh, our mission will end. Or will it? So we're jumping in the gate, and now you get to see what happens when people have a disruptor beam of some sort. Actually, I think you can be attacked in the tunnel, and it will knock you out, so we'll see what happens here. And as we're getting closer and closer, all of a sudden, we get pulled out. So now we are surrounded by a ton of these little rogues. What that just told us is that if my shields get damaged and I lose them, hit F, and a battery, a shield battery, will be used to fully recharge my shields immediately. If I miss that opportunity and my hull gets damaged, I can hit G and my hull will get repaired by a nanobot, which you don't see. So here's where you get to see me use the tractor beam. There I go. And what did I get? I got a shield battery. Yeah, there's no damage from bumping into these guys. I must be playing on an easier mode. I don't remember there being a selection. I must have missed it when I joined the game. You just saw a little bit of the ship come off as I'm shooting him up. These pea shooter weapons are just not fun. There we go, little bits and pieces. We got that. So we can pretty much tear through these guys pretty fast. If I had the second level weapon already, there wouldn't even be a chance that these guys would be able to stop us. This makes combat feel a little bit easy, but really when you're playing against another person flying, that's when this starts to get hard. Because after a while, these motions that the AI makes, these maneuvers, aren't really very, well, they're not very evasive. They fly straight and level for too long of a time. Nobody would ever fly that straight and level. Not even trying to get away from you. But, of course, when we get the dogfighting module, we'll be fighting each other in Star Citizen. We'll see who truly is the best there. Now, in this part of the mission, we have to get back to the convoy, because that's what we're protecting, and we have to pretty much get into formation with it again. Now, we're being attacked again, but we were told not to engage, to just protect these ships. I have tried many times to protect them, but I'll tell you, it's almost impossible. If you go off and try to attack these other rogues, I think that there are some that get really a lot better than you on purpose, so you follow the mission through, which is to stay with the ship. So if you play that first mission, don't even try to kill the second raid. Listen and jump back into formation and go right over to Planet Pittsburgh. And this is where the mission is going to get its ending. So we're following through with this convoy. And the convoy is going to give us our money at some point. I think we got it already, actually. And now we've got to go land on Planet Pittsburgh, which is a mining colony. Now, all these, of course, aren't... You can't interact with them. Essentially what that told us is that if we hit F3, we can dock with the docking ring. And that essentially morphs us down into the planet where we are now planet-side. Picture that being opening up the shield on the planet, the planetary shield. So we come in for a landing, and you can see all the stacks from all the mining equipment. Obviously everything is underground, and we sit down. And we're pretty much told, hey, now it's a good time for you to go and take a look at your ship. Now that ship over there is called a Patriot. It is much better looking. Kind of looks like a eagle. Kind of. I mean, all these ships had very unique designs.
Nice job, Trent. Now I believe I owe you some credits. Hey, King. Did you know it was gonna get hot out there? We're not done yet.
And you're hearing the last bit of this information coming out. So we're definitely going to be able to walk around every planet. I wonder how deep we'll be able to explore them though. It seems to me that they're giving us a hangar and a couple of other locations on the planet, not much more over that.
Oh, and Trent. Now that you have a little scratch, I'd look into outfitting that pile of junk.
So Trent's really interested in looking around while he's being talked to.
I'll see you in space.
And he's going to go off and find his merry way around. First thing that we have to do is we're going to go and see if we have anything in our cargo hold to sell. Unfortunately, we were fighting rogues, so we probably have nothing. Yeah, we have scrap metal, and that's not even good to sell here. Now we're in the equipment dealer, and we're going to sell off our level 1 guns. We're going to purchase those level 2, or class 2 I should say. We are not going to have enough money for anything else but a missile launcher. So we'll buy... I think we're going to stick with the javelins because it has the most punch. I just have to make sure that I'm on the rogue, or on my bogey 6, and have a definite lock on them when I use them. The Seeker missile has a much smaller warhead, but it's guaranteed to hit, but it doesn't do much damage. The javelin does a boatload of damage, but it's not guaranteed to hit. And that should be it for now. So this is an idea of what some of Chris Roberts' games have been like. So far, you've seen the first mission of Wing Commander, the first mission of Strike Commander, and now the first mission of Freelancer. I think Freelancer is one I'm going to play through. Thank you for watching. I'll see you all soon.